Hello and welcome to Northwest Indian News. I'm Carissa Peapud-Gobin, a Tulalip tribal member. Recently, the state capitol was the site of a ceremony honoring veterans who served during the Vietnam War. The event was thanks to a tribal veterans group from Yakima that succeeded in gaining an official yet long overdue welcome home to Vietnam veterans. NWIN's Leandra Smith brings us the story.
In the spring, the state of Washington designated March 30th as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day, a long overdue thank you and welcome home for our Vietnam veterans. The bill was passed in large part to the efforts of the Yakima warriors. We visited Olympia to learn more about the Yakima warriors and the journey to recognize this important day.
It actually formed up in about 1990, 91. And the reason for that, a lot of the military veterans that were being buried on the reservation had no honor guard. And a few of the guys got together, decided to make sure that the flag got folded and presented to the family, and it just kind of grew from there. We travel all over the United States representing veterans from the Yakima area. We do anything we can to help promote veterans and to help support veterans and their families.
This is a great honor to sign this bill for the over 200,000 Washingtonians who answered the call of their country during the Vietnam War and proudly served, 1,100 of whom did not come home. We hope people will take a moment to think of these men and women who served and thinking of their contribution to American democracy and freedom across the world. We want to thank them. So I'm signing this bill, and I'm happy to do so on behalf of these great veterans. The bill is signed. We got this done. Congratulations.
The need for this long overdue welcome home was brought to the attention of state representatives by Gil Clack of the Yakima Warriors, who began campaigning for this day of recognition following the failure of a similar bill at the federal level.
Last year in Washington, D.C., Congress made an attempt to pass the bill, Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans, but it hasn't gone anywhere. When we heard about the Congress not passing Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans, then I said, well, I'm going to follow this to see if we can get that done for the state. And it happened.
Well, today we passed House Bill 1319, and what this is a day of recognizing and welcoming home the Vietnam veterans, the welcoming home that they didn't get when they did come home. Washington State's the 8th state to be able to do this. So hopefully the balance of the U.S. will follow suit and welcome home the troops.
I remember when I came home, and the first thing we did was take our uniforms off. We were told, do not go out to town with your uniform on. You're not going to be appreciated that well. Protesters had been dropping gallon cans of paint on the ships when they knew that they were going to Vietnam. You kept it pretty quiet, actually. Only your family or your close friends even knew that you were where you just had returned from.
When I came home, that was in 1970, April 6th. Quiet. The only people there was my mom and my dad, and that was it. That was my welcome home. No nothing. No nothing. So for me, seeing what we saw today, shaking all the veterans' hands, it was good just to say thank you to each one of them.
When this adventure first started, I would tell people about House Bill 1319. Some would say, does this mean we get a day off? Most of those people were not veterans. Some would say, man, that's great. It's about time. Most of those people were veterans.
Following the signing of the bill, the Yakima Warriors, along with other tribal veterans groups, held a celebration at the Veterans Memorial on the Capitol campus, inviting tribal and non-tribal veterans to join the circle. It was a time to honor not only veterans, but also those currently serving in the military.
Our young men and young women that are coming back from Iraq, Afghanistan, let's don't wait the 40 years to say to them, welcome home. Let's provide them with the services that they need instead of waiting 6, 9, 18 months to get some type of service. We need to do a better job with that. And that's why I think that the state of Washington, in passing this bill, is taking that to a higher level to make sure that our veterans are treated with good care.
As in all conflicts that the United States has ever had, per capita, Native Americans have been the most to serve, per capita. So you have to remember the land was ours first. So we're going to protect the land, no matter whose flag is flying.
For Northwest Indian News, this is Leandra Smith reporting.
Coming up next, we'll visit a carving workshop hosted by one of the country's leading master carvers.
Hearing from David how to utilize the tools that I'm working with as I'm learning to carve, I also know that it's not just David. I'm hearing teaching and techniques that have been handed down from generation to generation, so I want to honor them.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in jobs. Job-creating investments like the $350 million container terminal in Tacoma.
Puyallup Tribe, through Marine View Ventures, is partnering with SSA Marine to develop a 200-acre, 3-berth terminal, which at full build-out will be the largest terminal in the Pacific Northwest.
Tribal governments are investing in Washington's economy, creating jobs in many different industries. Everyone's working together to make it happen.
The suicide rate of Native Americans is 25% higher than the national rate.
Today is just another day.
A day I think about you.
A day I remember your laugh.
A day I remember your sense of humor.
Why were you so sad?
What made you hurt so much?
Why didn't you call?
Why didn't I see your signs?
Your pain may be gone,
but mine just started.
No one said life was easy.
There is help. There's hope.
Reach out to someone.
Reach out to me.
Reach out to me.
Reach out to me.
A person commits suicide every 40 seconds.
So please get help. It's worth it. Be strong and live life.
Who says that all good things must come to an end? That nothing lasts forever? That you can't turn the tide for good? For us, protecting nature comes so naturally. We're the tribes in Western Washington, stewards, and have been for centuries to come.
Welcome back to Northwest Indian News. Unique workshops offered by Northwest Indian College are bringing Native people of all ages together as master carver David Wilson passes on the tradition and skill of wood carving. NWIN's Wayne Messer has the story.
Hundreds of tribal members ages 8 to 80 took part in shaping this totem pole titled Children Playing Among Teachers, which stands so proudly outside in Nisqually Middle School. Master carver David Wilson, who led the pole's carving efforts, continues to share his knowledge and abilities through Northwest Indian College workshops.
I feel that, the culture and the art, traditions, song and dance, carving, weaving, being involved with ceremonies and celebrations is so important because, we're losing so much of the value of that. The more I can be involved with any of that, one way or the other, to help someone else, open someone else's eyes to doing something like that is going to be immeasurable.
This, you can attack it because you know that all you're doing...
It's not what's important about carving, it's what's important about what carving lends to an individual or to a family. I always say it's more than making a small piece of wood into a smaller piece of wood. It's much more than that.
take off a little bit off this side now, and that's going to develop.
Hearing from David how to utilize the tools that I'm working with as I'm learning to carve, I also know that it's not just David. I'm hearing teaching and techniques that have been handed down from generation to generation. So I want to honor them with the teachings that I'm getting from David.
And now you just figure out, okay.
My dad wanted to teach me how to carve when I was, high school kid. Everything back then was either cars or girls. And then this class came along, and sure enough, you start carving, and you pass 3 hours, and it seems like 30 minutes. And you're whittling away, and you're making these curls, and you're having like a meditation moment doing this. It feels good.
See how small that curl is?
It's nice to see kids more involved in carving and those kind of things that, are becoming extinct, they're becoming lost, and they're slowly getting back to their heritage.
Young students, taught and mentored by Wilson, were recognized at South Puget Sound Community College's 5th Annual Native American Heritage Art Exhibit's Artist Reception. The exhibit provides a gallery setting for artists of all ages to share their works with the public.
An artist reception, it lifts up the artist, give them a place of recognition that they are creating art, that people are enjoying the art that they're creating. The youth are so empowered by the learning.
My harpoon has the wild bone as the tip. It was sort of hard to trying to make it all evened out with the whalebone and the tip of the spear.
It was a little bit difficult to make my rattle. The hardest part was to sand it all, and the easiest part was to dig it out to put the rocks in. It makes me proud that my artwork is on display for other people to see.
I work with young people. If they're not spending time carving or thinking about carving or having the opportunity to learn the art, what's the alternative to a not so healthy activity? And it's that part of what I do with young people that helps them to broaden their view of the variety of things that they have to spend their time doing.
The art of carving provides an opportunity to bring a community together, from youth to elder. It facilitates socializing, creativity, exchanging skills, and more. For Northwest Indian News, I'm Wayne Messer.
And so today, it's reawakening.
Next, we'll visit the Washington State History Museum's annual exhibit of Native American artwork.
Ancestors wore every day or used every day. It's a living culture. Yes, it's beautiful artwork, but art and life, the living culture, go hand in hand.
That story and more on this episode of Northwest Indian News.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in health care. The Jamestown S'Klallam tribe is expanding their health care clinic to meet an ever-growing community need.
Quality health care of our people, of our citizens, Indian and non-Indian alike, is essential for our future.
This new 35,000 square foot clinic will provide medical services and be open to the general public. Tribal governments are investing millions of dollars each year across our state to improve health and dental care in our communities.
That's the bottom line for us, is quality health care.
We have our own way of thinking. We think sustainability is nothing new. We think justice is older than any government. We think we can grow radishes on the moon. We think the war against diabetes is fought on the basketball court. We think the same berries we pick today should be here for another 7 generations. We think education is for the mind and the spirit. We think Indian.
help tribal college students preserve their way of thinking.
Washington's Indian tribes are investing in education. In Auburn, the Muckleshoot tribe just opened a new state-of-the-art $40 million school for up to 500 students in grades K through 12.
The tribe has made an investment in the Muckleshoot people, not just into facilities, but into the people to gain an education.
We want our children to be able to succeed in life. We want them to be able to compete with anyone in the world and achieve whatever they need to in their lives.
The Washington State History Museum's annual In the Spirit exhibit is an exciting and diverse selection of Native American artwork. Artists working in a range of mediums and varied styles are chosen to showcase their creations at the museum every August. Sherry Macy visited the exhibit and brings us her report.
The exhibit provides an opportunity for area residents to view new works by local and regional Native artists. The works in this year's exhibit include fiber arts, sculptures, paintings, and more. Native artists throughout the nation are encouraged to enter up to 2 pieces of art each year. Works go before a jury of Native and non-Native judges. This year's award winners were honored and extremely humble for being recognized for their hard work and artistry.
In addition to being a Native weaver, I'm a teacher. And one of my missions is to pass on the teachings of my ancestors, not just through language, but through culture. The artwork really is a vehicle to pass on our history and our values and our sacred stories that weren't just the mythical stories, but the stories of history of our people and what was important to us. Traditionally, our lives, our living culture and art were interwoven, and then when we experienced the cultural genocide and physical genocide, for many years it was dormant. And so today it's reawakening. Now we have a chance to celebrate something that our ancestors wore every day or used every day. It's a living culture. Yes, it's beautiful artwork, but art and life, the living culture, go hand in hand. They're interwoven. They were never meant to be separated.
The exhibit culminates in August with a one-day In the Spirit Festival and Market that shares Native traditions, performances, and arts and crafts, all free to the public.
The In the Spirit Northwest Native Arts Market and Festival occurs in the 2nd or 3rd week in June. Usually it occurs after the canoes have all landed at the Tribal Canoe Journey, so it provides one more opportunity to celebrate Native arts and cultures in the Northwest in the summertime. We've enjoyed a really long partnership with the Washington State History Museum, and the festival that we're hosting today is one example of that partnership. It's an opportunity to present a regional juried art market for the public in our region, and it also is an opportunity for artists to showcase their work. So we're really pleased with the diversity of cultures that are represented here today, from Washington State tribes to people who live in the Northwest who come from other tribes. So it's a real great mix of artists.
We try to get as big a mix as possible, try to appeal to a lot of people. And this year, as last year, the museum is free to the public on the day of the festival. So you can come and see the exhibit, catch performances, hopefully buy some art from one of the vendors, and just have a great day.
I do what most people call Salish geek art. I'm a nerd, always have been. And this last year has been a real reflection of that. I've been able to take my Native roots and my graphic design background and translate it into something that has been a whole lot of fun for myself. If anybody asks me what the key is having fun and don't grow up. Don't lose that childlike enthusiasm. Keep pushing boundaries, keep asking questions, and don't let anybody tell you what you're doing is right or wrong as far as your art goes. You know, if you're doing it for yourself and you're getting that feeling that it makes you feel good, you can look back and say, oh yeah, I like that, then that to me is success.
Displaying a rich blend of cultural, traditional, and contemporary expressions in art, The In the Spirit exhibit and festival demonstrates the value of connecting with the Native community. For Northwest Indian News, I'm Sherry Macy.
Visit NWIN.TV, where you can view every episode of Northwest Indian News on demand.
And it just kind of grew from there. We travel all over the United States representing veterans from the Yakima area. We do anything we can to help promote veterans and to help support veterans and their families.
You can also watch NWIN and other Native programming at tulaliptv.com. Coming up next, we'll travel to the Quileute Nation for their yearly Welcoming the Whales ceremony.
To my tribe, I'm more than a student. I'm an example that it's possible to get an education.
Education can end poverty, violence, and health issues on the res.
On the reservation, tribal students find ways to turn their education into an entire tribe's education.
Even when only 5% of Indians on the reservation
only 5% of Indians
can afford to go to college.
If I do nothing, 25,000 people will continue to live in poverty.
I will help 2 million people educate themselves.
I'll keep 173,000 people from losing their sacred home.
Hey!
Well, culture is important to the Suquamish people because it's an honoring of our ancestral ways and traditions and the ways that have been part of this landscape for thousands of years. So for us, we're honoring our ancestors, and we're also building for our future generations, our youth.
You are welcome to come ashore, and yes, our culture is alive.
I couldn't be more proud of the Suquamish.
Welcome back to Northwest Indian News. Since before recorded history, the Quileute people have considered the gray whale a sacred and vital part of their culture. Every spring, a ceremony marks the return of the whales to La Push as they migrate from their breeding waters off Baja, Mexico, to their feeding grounds in the Bering Sea. NWIN's David Jackson brings us the story.
In April of 2013, the Quileute Tribal School hosted the 6th annual Welcoming the Whales ceremony at the Akalat Center in La Push. The village's school children, instilled with the spirit of our brother from the sea, performed sacred songs and dances honoring the gray whale's return.
Every year in the spring, the whales are migrating north on their journey to Alaska. The old people here at the village, that was a very important time for them because that was when they would send their best hunters in their canoes out into the ocean and hunt these whales and get the much needed oil from the whales. We still want to have that connection with the whales and with our ancestors by welcoming the whales that are still coming through our lands every year on their journey. The children here in the village get really excited for this ceremony. They take it really serious, and it's a big honor for them to be out there and dancing in front of their parents and grandparents and family. We want the children to participate as much as we can in all ceremonies, make sure that the children don't forget their teachings and keep that going on for their children and their grandchildren too.
It's always touching to see these little kids out there dancing with that sparkle in their eye and keeping our tradition alive. I feel like we kind of lost a little bit of that tradition in the past, but we've made giant steps in rejuvenating it. These kids they're taking it really serious, and it's fun to watch.
The song tells a story of a killer whale who was coming to sea to look for food, and it came onto the land and transformed into a wolf. As the wolf was searching the land, it encountered people, and the people chased the wolf back into the water where it transformed into a killer whale.
To see the younger generation dancing with the masks is just so powerful. I was thinking how many generations have actually not only used those shawls, but how many generations were there dancing on the floor today. And the pride, to see that pride instilled in them of how important culture is at such a young age, just very heartwarming. Our language being where it is today, and hoping that in 15 to 20 years from now, we start hearing them speak that language, and the way that the culture and the dancing and the stories are being shared with them now, and how I've seen it grow over the past 20 to 30 years. I hope that we can rejuvenate our language in the same way that we saw out there today on the dance floor.
We made an offering to the ocean, a large king salmon on a raft with cedar boughs on it.
On behalf of the youth, we say thank you. Hey!
And the reason for the offering is we just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for what the ocean provides. Thank you for the whales for coming through. Just recently, the whales have started to make a really big comeback. So we wanted to say thank you for the ocean for bringing that back to us, and the whales for coming back to us year after year.
Everyone is welcome to join us each year in La Push for the ceremony dedicated to the gray whales, whose spirit lives in our people. The children especially will carry this spirit with them. For Northwest Indian News, I'm David Jackson.
I'm Carissa Peapud-Gobin, and I hope you've enjoyed the stories we've brought to you today. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time on Northwest Indian News.